get get out of my
Get out
house.
of my house. Yeah,
You
he could have
out
said
this
that.
on you, whatever could try to transpire. He
Yeah,
chose not to.
yeah,
Did that tell you anything that probably the love was still there from your family and the flags and the numbers didn't matter to him as much as it could
definitely,
matter with somebody else?
definitely. When he did that for me, I instantly I knew like I was like whatever my uncle needs ever in life, like I got him. You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't see the blue or the red. He didn't see none of that. He just said my nephew doesn't have a place to stay, so I'm gonna take him in.
Did the other family members have the same approach or was it a difference?
Um, everybody had the same approach except for one of my uncles. He's the middle brother, and he's resting in peace now. Rest in peace to my uncle. But he was the one that he didn't mind it at first, but when he got drunk, he did. You know what I'm saying? Like when he got drunk, he didn't like it one time, just one time. I was about what maybe 13. We went drinking at my cousin's house, who's also a Norteño, and which is his nephew, obviously. We all went drinking at his house. It was one of my uncles, which is he's just like he's a regular paisano. My uncle that's a northerner, my cousin that's a northerner, and then one of my all of their friends. He was an 18 streeter from down south, but he came up here. They were cool with him, and then for whatever reason, my cousin actually, he's the one that starts it. He goes, "Hey, fool!" He goes, "Is it true that you're a Southsider?" And I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of froze up because I was like, this dude, I know how he is. Like I've heard many stories of my cousin being with the business. So I was
Yeah.
like, damn, like I'm probably gonna get rushed right now. But I didn't want to seem like I didn't. In my head, I was like one of two things. He's asking me this because he's gonna take off on me, or he's asking me to see if I'm with the business too, to see if I'm really gonna, stand on my own 2 feet without my friends and say, hey, yes, I am. So I said it. I said, yeah, I am. Like I'm a Sureño. And he's like, oh well, he's like, I know you're my cousin, fool. He's like, but I have every right to smash on you right now. And I was like, well, do what you got to do. Because when I heard that, I was like, well, F you too, basically. I was like, well, do what you got to do then. And my uncle was like, yeah, fool. He's like, we have the right to do what we want with you because you're from the other side. You know what I'm saying? Not, he didn't say it that nicely, but I'm going to say it, what I'm saying, for YouTube purposes. But he said it like that. He was like, what I'm saying, we could do whatever we want. And he took out a blade. And I was like, oh, damn, like I didn't think this was going to happen. And they were about to take off on me, but the 18th Streeter, I never met this dude before this day. He was like, "Hey, fool, what the hell you fools doing? Like, this is your family, fool. Like, why are you fools even like trying to press him for? You know what I'm saying?" He's like, and he said it. He's like, "I'm right here. You guys know what I am. You guys ain't doing nothing to me." And then they started laughing, and they were like, "Nah, we're just messing with this fool." And I was like, "Damn, like I don't know if they were messing with me or not, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like they were kind of serious, but like that dude stepped in, and they were like, "Well, you know what I'm saying? He's got a point."
And it's a trip because my situation is different, and
Mm-hmm.
there's something that along the way I would tell. I have cousins that are from 18th Street and El
Yeah.
Salvador.
Okay.
And they're pure 18. Like their hate that runs between those two gangs down there is different than the hate that I mean it's hate everywhere, but that hate that goes amongst them down in the motherland is
Yeah.
different. And I will tell you, he's now RP. My cousin was one of the main dudes down there, but he got killed by his own homeboys that set him up.
Damn.
It's a story that I will be telling soon, but it gets you to think to a point and to a level where we start developing some type of wall between us and the family because it
Yeah.
begins now we have a color, a number, or a set
Yeah.
that divide us, and we
Yeah.
bring that wall up and we bring down a monster sometimes, and it start creating a conflict whether we go to family functions, we go to family gatherings. That is always there. Or here comes the B word, here comes the S word, here comes this
Yeah.
whatever the
Yeah.
faction might be. It creates the development, and whether we like it or not, partly they have invited friends that might not see us as family, and this
Yeah.
that creates a conflict. Partly we invited friends that they might not see as family, and that can create conflict. It can become a dangerous place, even if because let's be real, there's some people that doesn't respect the households. There's some people that don't care about if
Yeah.
you have your mama next to you, you have your daughter, whatever you have, they will do stupid stuff, and it have become to that point where people doesn't really care, especially now
Yeah.
these young kids nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, the disrespect that's going on the streets is real. It's just out of pocket.
Yeah.
Here you got. family from both sides, you decide to do this. At a point in time, do you ever hit any county, any
No,
facilities?
no.
You
So
never been to jail.
no. So I've said it before on my channel, but I've never said why. We talked about this, saying behind the scenes, but I've always been really good from learning from other people's mistakes, right? And I've never sat here and said, "Oh, I was a shooter, I was this, I was that." No, in all reality, my gangbanging was more like I was more hands on. If you catch my drift, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I was more hands on with things, and weapons wasn't really my thing because that's one thing that my uncle instilled in me from when he found out. He was like, you know what, like you're better off if you're gonna do this, be hands on instead of using tools because if you use tools, you're never gonna make it. Karma's a beast, so you're either gonna end up underground or you're gonna end up doing like giving your life away to the system. And so yeah, I never hit the county like that. But as a minor, yeah, obviously, I'm saying as a juvenile, group homes and all that stuff, I did all that.
And you continue to your life as gangbanging. Your family try to pull you in. They try to present. They try to jokingly or not jokingly tell you should come home. You should come to the other side where you belong because in their mind you should have been an ordiner.
Yeah.
Where does your family stands now that you are deciding to do something else other than being up there acting a fool?
Um. Well, the love was always there. Like I said, I'm not gonna say they love me more now, but definitely they're proud of me. My OG uncle, the OG of the family. I mean, my older uncle, he told me straight up once he found out that I was doing good, I was working all that because he's the one that actually he gave me my first job because he has his own business. He gave me a job, all that stuff, and he told me he's like, fool, he's like, I never told you I was proud of you until I saw you working for me because you know what I'm saying, like he saw that I was kind of not, I don't want to say disassociating because I've always had my homies. I've always talked to my homies. I've always, you know what I'm saying, hung around everything. But I was giving more time to being an adult, even though, you know what I'm saying, like I really wasn't an adult. I was only like 18, 19 when I started kind of working and slowly, you know what I'm saying, like dispersing from that. It wasn't until I was like 2021 that I was like, I started getting my stuff together basically and started working and all that. And as far as everybody else, my other uncles, they never said anything about looking at me different for whether I was doing it or not. They didn't care. You know what I'm saying? Like I was their nephew at the end of the day. They didn't care if I was active as far, not active in the sense of where people say now active and non-active is drop out and active, you know what I'm saying? But like just active as in like in the streets doing dirt.
Okay. So now here we have a situation that a lot of people not familiar with. We have a family that's kind of divided by flags or numbers or sets, as we can call it.
Yeah.
What is the perspective on you, or what how you look at them towards when you were on the movement, you were hands on with the Southerners? Do you ever went and trying to maybe in your back of your head, like, or your homies ever push you, like trying to see if we can catch one of your uncles slipping if it was a factor in the neighborhood? You know how sometimes when people become factors, there's always homies like, hey fool, we could use you to get the to get
Yeah.
to X point to X point. Did it ever come to any point like that in life?
Yeah. So it only happened one time. My uncle, the one that I said he's rest in peace. He was staying at a house. It was a well known like I guess you could say like a tweaker house, but it wasn't like a kind of yeah, it was kind of like a tweaker house. But there was northerners that lived there, not only just tweakers. You know what I'm saying? It was like a hood
The
house
trap
basically.
house.
Yeah, trap house basically. So he was staying there, and uh, they ended up knowing that my uncle was the stepdad to a northerner that he was kind of, I wouldn't say he was a trophy. He wasn't a trophy, but he was an annoying one. Like those ones that like they don't really put in a lot of work, but they're annoying because they just do too much. He was one of those, and they were like, "Well, that's his stepson. Like, let's go. You know what I'm saying? Let's go pay him a visit." And we did. You know what I'm saying? We ended up saying passing by that house, and we saw the person. You know what I'm saying? We saw the person that we were intended to see, but by, I would say, the grace of God, the house got hit. Like when we were there, the cops pulled up. There was only two cars though, two cop cars. They pulled up. I don't know if there was like some type of domestic violence at the house or whatever, but when we got there, we drove off. We turned around, and when we turned around is when we saw the two cop cars. They parked right in front of the house, and the dude crossed the street to I want to say it was a gas station. It was on Keys, and can't remember the crossroads exactly, but I know it was on Keys. But yeah, so you know what I'm saying, that was the only time, but nothing ever happened. Nothing ever came of it.
Did they ever make you feel awkward sitting on those positions like that, where you had to choose
Oh
either
yeah.
or your family?
Well, it made me feel awkward because I knew the type of man that my uncle was. He wasn't just gonna let his stepson get, you know what I'm saying, get hurt. So he wasn't gonna get in the way. And I always thought to myself, like, damn, like what am I gonna do? You know what I'm saying? If my uncle steps in and we're doing our thing, like what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to just not target him and target the other dude, or like it is what it is? You know, like I never really wanted to think about that, to be honest with you. I kind of was just like, whatever, let's do what we gotta do.
It's a messy situation. It's sometimes that a situation we try not to find ourselves into, because I do have family that relate themselves with Northerners,
Yeah, yeah,
long distance cousins that I don't really talk to, but you do have run-ins like that, and sometimes it gets awkward. Not because of them. You might have an animosity towards your cousins or your uncle, whatever. But
yeah,
then it comes down to your tia, like the mother of the child, or
exactly.
your jefita,
Yeah,
looking at you a different way, like, oh, you allow this to happen to my brother. Like, you know what I mean? It becomes a difficult situation to absorb, and also to sit back and just think about it, and the well known and saying like, damn, what type of human being I am to allow something like this to happen to
yeah,
somebody that I call myself family.
yeah.
So at that point, you're here hanging out with your homies, situation like this can transpire. Did it ever went backwards? Did your uncles ever try to use you to get to your homeboys?
Nah, never. They always knew the. My family's always been very good with boundaries. We never. I never brought my homies around when my family was here. And vice versa. Well, actually, no, not vice versa. I would go around when they would have barbecues, but they would never tell me. They would just tell me, like, they would just say, "Oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna have a barbecue," and I'd ask, "Oh, who's gonna be there?" "Oh, just the family." And then somehow a bunch of Northerners ended up showing up, and I'm like, "All right, well, I'm gonna take off. Like, I don't want to, you know what I'm saying?" Because they were the type they like to take a lot of pictures. You know what I'm saying? And they would tell me like, "Oh, get in on this picture," and I'd be like, "Nah, I'm good." You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that ain't happening. So I just be like, "All right, I'm gonna take off." But they never once hit me up to be like, "Oh yeah, you know, say set some of your homies up for me," because they knew I would say no. They'd be like, "Nah, hell no, I ain't doing that." Like I said, I'm a very loyal person. I wouldn't do nothing like that. I would never do nobody's scandalous like
Now,
that.
did this loyalty ever play a part between you and how the way you went about different situations? Let's say your homeboy is in a predicament, and the word to happen. Let's say, hypothetical speaking, the scenario, they'll follow you. Your uncles track you down, and you're going to see somebody that might be. And before we even get to that, let's clarify. Some people might not know that word trophy. What
Mm.
does that mean for game banging slang?
Excuse me. So a trophy is somebody that it's basically gonna hurt the other side if they lose them. It's somebody that's of high value, like the MVP. You know what I'm saying? It's basically that. It's somebody of high value.
And and it's a crazy part, because it's like sometimes it comes out, and it sounds like, and like we before you even get the further, we're not, let's be really clear about it. Neither on my channel, his channel, we don't promote violence, we don't glorify violence.
No.
It just, things happens, and we're speaking realistic, because we want to give you guys the real, we want to give you guys without sugarcoating. It just what happens on the streets. Now that's what they say, that's what they mean, and it just what's transpired. Nowadays, a lot of trophies, a lot of targets have been taken out due to females. And I saw one of your videos when somebody trying to hit you, set you up on the family. How do your family on the northern side react when you get into situations like that, when they're trying to do a setup? Do they even try to find out if it was their side or anybody against them, or anybody they can holla? They put you in a predicament like that. Did they ever try to get involved to trying to get you out of situations like this?
Nah, honestly, I never told my family when I got into certain situations that were sticky. I didn't want to be the guy that was like, oh, my uncle so and so from here to give me a pass. I never wanted to do that. I never wanted to have like, well, yeah, the pass, of being able to say, oh, my uncle's from here or my uncle's from there. Like I never once used them for anything. And neither when I would get jumped or when anything like that would happen, I would never go to my uncles and be like, hey, this happened to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I never did anything like that. They would find out because their homies would tell them things, but not because I would say things.
How's your relationship now as it was from before with in between and to the point, let's say, let's talk about how was the relationship when the first find out you said that to when you were pushing into now situation. How is the whole perspective now with them?
So in the very beginning, um, like I said, they weren't in denial. They knew what time it was. The main one being the older one, he was the one that was more involved with me. The youngest one, he was the youngest one was still out in the streets. He was still doing his thing. He was still going to his neighborhood. So he was never around. When I would go to my grandma's house, the only interactions I would have with him was like I would like right before he left, I'd be like, "Hey, can we play your PlayStation?" Things like that, like little things like that. And I'm talking about just as a little kid. And that was in the very beginning. My older uncle, he wasn't around like that. He was doing his family thing. You know what I'm saying? He had just met his wife, his now wife. He was going on dates with her, doing things like that. The middle uncle, the one that passed away, he was more involved in the sense where like he knew a lot of the people that I would hang out with. He knew a lot of them, which was always weird to me. Like, how are you a northerner, but you know all these people? You know what I'm saying? Like, I always, but then later on, I found out that he was the type of gang member that was like he was cool with everybody, but also he was down to get down with everybody. You know what I'm saying? So like my homies would tell him like, "Oh, this fool did this," and he would call me, "Hey, fool, I heard you over there being a dumbass." I'd be like, "What?" Like, nah, that's not true. Like, but in the beginning, it was just that kind of not in denial, but also not wanting to get involved too much. They don't want to get in my business. That's when they started getting more involved. They started more trying to teach me more of like the I would say the biggest thing is my uncle, the one that was the most involved in gangs. He not that he was doing it to like as a bad uncle, but he was teaching me things that way I wouldn't get in trouble, like I wouldn't get caught up. You know what I'm saying? He was more like, well, if you're gonna do it, at least do it right. He was that type, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then the other ones, they were more involved, but in the sense of like the youngest one, he was the one that was taking me places. He would take me with him to San Francisco, and he'd lecture me like, "Oh, what's up with you, fool? Like, why are you trying to be a South Side of Northern California? Like, do you understand that Northern California, like, say in Spanish is norte, like things like that? Like he was more like the lecturing type. The middle one again, he didn't really care. He was like, "Hey, if you need anything, I got you." You know what I'm saying? Like, you get jumped or anything, hit me up, I got you. He was more that type. And then now, it's all love. Now it's all like we're, you know what I'm saying, as close as can be. Like, but I always been as from the middle to the end, I was always close with them. The beginning, again, I wasn't so close to them. I didn't really know them.
Was it because of the hatred you felt like some type of animosity towards the whole Northerners, or was it just them?
No, in the beginning, they just weren't around. Like they didn't really. They were more. So with them, it was more like the Chicanos of the family, the ones that were born here. They would barbecue and parties and stuff with them. The like my dad, which was the paisa, my uh his other brother, which was the paisa, and his other sister, which was the paisa. They were more. You know what I'm saying? Like they were kind of separate until obviously they ended up finding out that I was involved in gangs and stuff. That's when it started coming around more. So it had nothing to do with hate. It had nothing to do with animosity. It was just they weren't around from my childhood.
You made a whole transformation from pushing something. Of course, you still out there with the homies. You still got a good reputation with your homies. You made a whole transformation as to what you used to be, as to what now. You created a channel that push a positive message that doesn't disrespect or glorify violence, but doesn't always does not bow certain organizations as well. You stay out of line. When you
Mhm.
created the channel, was that always your goal to trying to stay afloat towards that channel? Was that something that you came into about a little slowly?
So in the beginning, when I made my channel, it was more so to like I said in the beginning, it was more so to because I would always see the I don't want to call them dropouts, like the ex Northerners make videos about upstate Sureños, and it was always like backhanded compliments, like, oh yeah, they were with the business, but they were paisas and they were this and they were that. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a lot of
Yeah.
backhanded, like. So I was like, bro, like you guys aren't even really like in a sense they were giving upstaters props, but for the most part it was like, but they weren't really a factor for us. They were only a factor like in the late '90s, and then now they're extinct. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not outside, and it's like, how are you gonna tell us that when you're not even outside no more? You know what I'm saying? Like you're clearly not. And I don't mean that to disrespect nobody, but I'm just saying a lot of the ex Northerners that make videos about upstaters, you can tell they hold animosity to the upstaters still to this day. Even though they're not involved, they still hold animosity. So my thing was like, you know what? Let me make the channel talk about certain things that they want to know about. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my main thing is like they ask me questions and I answer them in a video, and I tread lightly. Obviously, I don't want to. I don't like to give up game. I'm not in a place to give up game. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't like to put myself out there to where people are gonna be like, oh well, this was said this. Now he's trash. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to. You know what I'm saying? Like things like that.
You created a channel that was, and it's true. I mean that's always been a true fact, and that don't mean like a sliding or a disrespect point to the people that's doing the channels.
Yeah.
Um, but there's always been a misconception about upstaters. They always had us on the type of soft toilet tissue type of stuff.
Yeah.
When
Exactly.
in reality, who have pushed the hardest line from the bear jump, even in prison, have been upstaters. Like we have been the ones that created that whole pushing line and animosity and all that stuff. We're not saying that's glorified and that's okay to do, no, but it's a fact that people look at the upstaters and they think, oh yeah, they're soft. Even the homies from down south had the perspective. Once they will come to push and they see who's the frontliners, then their
Yeah.
whole perspective changed. Now you created your channel, you obviously decided to put on a mask. Was it that reason because you were still pushing, or was that a reason because of what people call we scared?
No, the real reason I've said it before, but I know a lot of people didn't tap into that video because it wasn't very juicy. The main thing is I like my privacy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I've always been this way. I've always like if you were to see my personal Instagram, I still don't show my face, even to the people that know me. Even if there's, you know what I'm saying? Like, I like being able to go wherever I want because, like I said, I still dress the same. I don't look any different. You're not gonna see me and be like, oh, that's a square. You know what I'm saying? Like, I look the same. I'm not hiding from anybody, but at the same time, it's like I don't want unwanted attention from people that you know what I'm saying. In the beginning, it was more so like there's a lot of trolls. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of
Yeah,
trolls, and they know how I look, but I don't know how they look. But now it's more like I just want my privacy. Like only one time ever has somebody in person has recognized me from YouTube, and obviously I wasn't wearing my mask, but they heard my voice, and they were like, "Hey, you're so and so from upstate," and I was like, "Yeah." And I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of like, "What's gonna happen?" You know. But they were like, "Hey, like I rock with the channel. Like you're cool." And I was like, "All right, you know, shake gracias," and you know, saying we shake each other's hand, whatever. And that was it. He didn't ask me for a picture or nothing. Maybe because I didn't have the mask. But you know what I'm saying? The mask is strictly for privacy, bro. I just don't like to put myself out there.
your channel was at first. How can I put it in a way that doesn't sound sideways with respect? But your channel at first, when you created a channel, you were doing good. You were publicizing. You were doing what you're supposed to do, and then it got caught to some drama.
Yeah.
Um, Either whether because you wanted to get involved, people took shots at whatever the position.
Mhm.
What do you learn from that dramatic or that exchange that you have with different personalities, and what prompt you to say, you know what, I think I could do better going a different route?
So you're talking about the YouTube drama, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so honestly, what I learned from the YouTube drama, bro, was like it wasn't even worth it. Like, yeah, I got views from it, which I even said at the time. Of course, the videos were for views, but it wasn't solely for the purpose of views. Like, we knew that having beef with them. Well, I knew having beef with them that it was gonna bring people to our channels to watch it, but we didn't. Well, I didn't. Nah, I could say me and EBK. We didn't want to have beef with anybody because when we would go live, the individuals that we had that YouTube drama